Before we start, this is a heads up to let you guys know that we use explicit language and content.
Okay, so in this episode we brought up a couple of things in particular, brands and whatnot. We are going to make those available on the website for you to look at and review, and if we do this right, which hopefully we will, maybe buy. Which, if you buy it through us, full disclosure here, we are going to make a little money. Thank you very much. Please, please, please. Yes. So look for that in the notes, in the show notes, and maybe some links on the webpage. We will have recommendations for camping gear that we couldn't get into here because of specifics and time constraints. Thank you.
And on that note, we're going to start. So
Go!
Today's focus is going to be for camping.
Oh,
I
nice.
decided since it's becoming August and the weather's getting a little more cool, a little less, hot and hell. It'd be nice, go outside and
74 degrees right now?
feels good.
Yeah,
It felt real good today.
Pretty nice out.
Yeah.
So I decided it would be better than taking a weekend or a week or choose your poison and, weather the nature. So
Yeah.
for my first question, in your guys' opinion, when is the best time to go camping? Speaking of.
Anytime.
Anytime.
Mm-hmm.
So even when there's a blizzard going on outside.
Sure. Why not?
Yeah. The more extreme the conditions, the more a challenge, the more interesting it gets.
You learn
That's
something.
the point. Yeah.
Wow.
Things go wrong.
Yeah.
Good.
Oh, I landed in Lake Michigan, not Lake Erie. Good.
Good.
Alright, okay.
Any time of the year.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
I prefer, depending on where I'm going, I prefer different times of the year. I prefer it to be cold because I feel more invigorated and get up and move around more. If I'm hot, I just, sit in the pine needles and go, this is miserable and awesome. And just kind of watch things circle me to see if I'm dead yet. But, try to not burn anything down at night. But,
Cooler is better.
yeah.
Especially for big people.
Oh, yeah.
But, I can deal with the heat if I have to, but I prefer, early spring, late fall.
Mm-hmm. Dead of winter.
I'm okay with the dead of winter, but that's a little bit more of a challenge. That's if I'm wanting a challenge. If I want to relax, I'm looking like September.
Yeah. If I want to relax, I just grab a knife and walk out the front door until something... It's like, sleep here. Okay. Cool. I haven't done that in about 5 years.
Just grabbed a knife and left?
Yeah. You've seen the
Yeah.
bayonet. Yeah, just throw it in your pocket and take off.
Alright, well I guess that brings me to question number 2. So what is the best stuff or best thing to bring, and I guess during which time? So dead of winter, what's the best thing to bring? Early spring, late fall, what's the best thing to bring? Dead of the heat, what's the best thing to bring?
You have to have a knife.
Mm-hmm.
There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that.
Mm-hmm.
A survival knife or a combat knife, preferably.
Yeah.
That's really the only thing you have to have to go camping.
Yeah.
So you just
you
have
can
to
do
have
all
a
kinds
knife.
of stuff. Yeah, that if I had to pick one thing, it would be probably a Glock bayonet. Or a K-bar. But, yeah, probably a Glock bayonet, because you can do a lot of stuff with it. You can make other tools with it, and then you have what you need.
I like Schrade survival knives.
That's good stuff.
Yeah.
Benchmade.
I've got two Schrade survival knives. They got the compass, which I don't really care for. I don't really need that as much.
Right.
Helpful, but don't need it as much. But it has, fishing wire.
I love a good compass. Absolutely love a good compass. GI Lensatic compass or a brass Lensatic compass from before 1960. One of the Boy Scout ones. Those are super cool.
They are good compasses.
They are.
But what I was saying was for
Silva
survival
is the best. Yeah, for survival.
situation, you don't necessarily need that. But the best thing about a survival knife is it has a saw.
That's what makes it a survival knife instead of a hunting knife, which has a big thick ridge so that you can use it for cracking bones for skinning deer and stuff. So, anyway.
But if you have survival knife, hunting knife,
Mm-hmm.
combat knife, you should be fine.
Just any of those.
If you're in an absolute panic, Johnson & Johnson's baby powder. Always going to be my answer. Dead of winter, you're going to pile on the clothes and you're going to be moving around. Your body's going to heat up. You're going to need it. Middle of the summer, you're going to be moving around. You're going to be hot anyway. You're going to need it. You don't have a knife, you can run up and be like, hey, buddy, blow at somebody's eyes and take his, and then he has a knife. I mean, you have his knife, he doesn't have a knife, and he can't see. Yeah, and you still got baby powder. And you're like, what did we learn here? That's right. And as your penance, I'm going to take your knife. And then you go find somebody else, and you're like, hey, that's a really nice knife. Do you want to trade? And they're like, yeah, sure. And then, when somebody comes after you, you're like, oh my God, is that your knife? And then you'll attack him, and you're on your way out. But I have a different process that I think most people would apply to their lives. So when I walk out the front door with a knife in my pocket, I'm just skipping a step with the Johnson & Johnson baby powder.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
If you're wanting to go on a camping trip,
Less feloniously.
and just enjoy yourself, get a one-man pop-up tent.
Yeah, or tube tent. Sometimes it's called. I use a tarp. I take a 9x6 tarp, and that way you make a triangle. I'm not quite 6 foot tall, so
The reason I prefer they have different weather tents that you can buy.
yeah,
Tarp will cover most everything, but with the two different pop-up tents, you got one that's going to let air flow through, and you got one that's going to keep it out. So you can choose what you need depending on the time of year you decide to go. So a one-man pop-up tent, knife. As I said before, you have to have a knife no matter what. That's really all I bring when I go camping.
a little bit of cord. I usually carry a survival bracelet's worth of
Paracord.
just string, paracord, something like that.
You can do a lot with paracord.
Alrighty, sounds good. And last but not least, is camping a good date idea? Is it smart to take your date? Not
Definitely
a first
not
date?
a first date.
Yeah. I don't know. Kind of depends on the girl.
I mean, if a girl's into bringing baby powder to go camping with, then...
Or a knife. I mean, depending on how you want to team up on that. I control the baby powder, though. I don't like being blind. So, that's mine. That's, boundaries.
Guess we've determined what kind of girls Dan is into. Just the kind that will turn on you.
Yeah, that's historically speaking, with the one exception, that's accurate.
Yeah, it's a fun date idea, but I'd be like, after the 8th date, maybe. Depends on where you want to go. Like what you want to do with this particular one. I mean, if you want to date and don't know where you want to go with it, don't go camping.
Yeah, because you're going to be pretty well isolated.
That's going to fall apart real quick.
Yeah.
If you want to stress test a relationship, go camping.
Yeah.
Because no matter what, you or she is going to be stressed at some point.
Uncomfortable.
And
depending
on your attitudes and feeling towards one another, that kind of decides where that's going to go.
Yeah, you're going to get honest pretty quick.
So,
I like camping alone, but I like being alone.
Me too.
Not all the time, but I do need it occasionally.
I've never been with a woman that I was comfortable taking camping. If I'm going camping, I'm hunting with my buddies.
There you go. I also like silence. And when you bring somebody with you that you want to be sociable with, that destroys it. So the way you get around it most of the time, guys get around it, is hunting camp. And then everybody goes to a different deer stand. You know, so there's a time to talk and there's a time to...
I don't hunt via stand. Ever.
No.
I spot and stalk. But a long time since I've done it.
I've bagged twice as many deer with Toyota as I have Remington.
Okay, I just got that.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
And again, I usually have a knife and some baby powder on me. So. It's pretty quick and easy, but...
I don't really need the baby powder for that instance.
Well, I don't want my hands
Knife
to get
you
chapped. Let's be civil.
Yeah, we're talking about hitting a deer with your car and, you know...
Getting out and slinging
Dressing
stuff.
it.
Yeah, at the side of the road.
Exactly.
If somebody's like, do you need help? And you stand up out of the ditch, you're covered in blood. I mean, you want to be like, no. My balls are fine. I have talcum powder. They will leave.
Yeah, they would.
Yeah.
Or they're going to shoot you, depending on what kind of person it is.
Well, I mean, like, just don't come at them. You know, just stick your head up out of the ditch and be like, "No, I'm good." Go back to work. You know.
If it were me, I would have to investigate.
Yeah, that's true.
But I'm a little weird, so...
Yeah, well...
This guy's covered in blood coming out of a ditch. I'm gonna grab my gun and
his car is still
approach.
running. Right. Which I would reply, here, hold this while I get this other end, and, you know. My guess is at that point Mark would go, yeah, he's cool.
Holster and grab.
Yeah, I'll hold you, yeah. To answer your question, for me, it depends on the relationship, but camping has its own purposes. So if you're using camping for what it is, that's great, because you will not be able to use it for what it's not. So, man, that'd be a heck of a date. I have gone down Current River with like a group of people.
That's different.
Yeah, and I mean that's not really camping like we're talking about, but you know, you go on a river trip with 15 people to kind of know how somebody's going to be around your friends. That's totally cool.
Yeah, and that's like third, fourth day territory.
Yeah.
That's not isolated camping.
Turning aux, I realized wasn't charging.
Right, yeah, I do that so I don't have to unplug my... Nate's playing with a switch under my desk for the computers.
A random switch.
A random switch, which in the workspace is dangerous.
I was trying to see if he was Batman and there was like a suit about to pop up somewhere. I'm sorry.
But the switch
There's
actually
nothing to
controls the power.
apologize for. I just don't have a big enough Robin suit for you, buddy. You're pretty tall.
You know, I'm just that clumsy, I guess. That's why I couldn't be Robin, because I can't move
See?
around in tights.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, you'd have to be, Ian size to pull that off.
Ian.
Jeez,
Love
freaking
that kid.
leprechaun.
Yeah, he really, I could totally see that. Leprechaun with a buzz cut.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's got the attitude for it, too. Have you
really
seen him
does.
mess with Jesse?
Oh my God.
It's
Yes, I
so
have.
funny.
It's the first time I ever wanted to hug him.
So when he gets back from this training exercise
Yeah.
that he really did not want to go to.
Well, that's the thing I don't get about the National Guard. The thing I couldn't do with the National Guard was intermittent soldiering. Kudos to the people that can do it, but that's like sweating. Once I start sweating, as long as I keep doing it, I'm good. But if I gotta stop and then start again, like, hey, let's go throw hay, and then let's go sit in the air conditioning on the porch to have lunch, and then let's go throw hay. No, I will work through lunch. So the whole, 1 weekend a month, 2 weeks a year, 4 weeks a year, whatever, I couldn't do it. I would have to just commit, put my head down and go, and then when I'm done, leave me alone, leave me out of it.
I agree with that.
That's what my cousin's doing. You know, I asked him how it was going. He goes, "Yeah, I should have listened to you." It's like, yeah, probably should have.
Yeah, probably should have. Is he in the Guard?
Yeah, he's in the National Guard. He's in infantry.
Okay. Well, thanks for your service.
I couldn't do Guard.
Kudos. I just don't have the patience for that kind of thing.
I try to live a fairly militant life anyway, but I would much rather be full-time active duty.
Yeah, commit to it. Only that. Somebody's going to college, that's makes total sense.
Even Jocko Willink says it's not a good idea to have other jobs while you're a soldier.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's a Navy SEAL commander, so...
Yeah, he knows.
So what are we going to talk about for another 15, 20 minutes?
Do you guys have any, like, camping stories?
Oh, shit.
Crazy or...
I was in a
funny or-
behavior disordered Boy Scout troop.
What?
Yeah.
They had those?
Oh, yeah.
I was in regular Boy Scout troop.
There's usually one per council, and the Scoutmaster... Originally, I was in Troop 18, which was kind of lame, honestly. Every Scoutmaster's weird, right? Like, you got to be damaged to be a Scoutmaster. God bless you, you know, but you're broke. So, our first Scoutmaster, and I'm not going to give the guy's name, was just enough of a hillbilly, and I don't mean redneck, I mean hillbilly, that he would, instead of, you know, arts and crafts and let's learn how to whittle, it was, okay, now we're going to cut dowels and mortise and tenon joints so we can put together a table. And instead of like, hey, let's go ride horses to learn about animals, it was like, okay, let's go out back of my house because the rabbits are ready for harvest. And hand you a mallet. That's a true story. He handed us a mallet and said, no, wait, we don't want to use the white-headed one, we want to use the more dense one. So we put in the black mallet in my hand and said, all right, hold them by the feet and...
Hillbilly.
Yeah. We're going to learn how to harvest rabbit meat tonight. Yep. And of course there was one kid in the troop that didn't want to do it, so he held his thing up with the back feet, and he started to swing and gave up halfway through it and bounced it off the back of the rabbit's head. And he hurt the rabbit, but he didn't kill him. And I took it from him. I was 9. And went, God damn it, if you're going to do it, do it! And pulled the rabbit out of one hand and the mallet out of the other and finished the rabbit off just as a coup de grace. Because, we're not going to take dinner to the vet.
Yeah, I mean, mercy for the rabbit.
Yeah, exactly. There's nothing good is going to come out of him doing this job, so I just took it over. It's like, oh my God! Why am I here? It was surreal. And I was 9.
That is not something that should be being taught to 9-year-old boys.
Not with that. I came home and my eyes apparently were really wide. My mom was like, "Are you okay?" I don't know, Mom. I don't know what to make out of what just happened.
I just murdered Peter Cottontail.
Right? Yeah. When the Velveteen Rabbit Pinocchio'd to real boyhood, and we're never gonna go eat out at. Never going over to their house to eat dinner ever again. I know we go to church together, but I'm not eating anything he brings to the potluck because I looked it in the eye before it showed up for dinner.
I was only a Boy Scout for about a year and a half, and the troop was out of a Mormon church.
Oh.
Yeah.
So you had to wear what? White linen
No.
uniforms?
No, we wore normal clothes.
I bet you were really good at the whole knocking on doors and selling cookies thing.
No, we
Do you have a
didn't do
minute
that.
to talk about popcorn?
But it was interesting, to say the least.
Yeah. Wow.
I was only like 7.
Ooh.
It was when my parents were experimenting different churches, different
Finding their
ideas.
place. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Was that even the boy? Yeah, I guess it would be BSA.
It was still BSA, Boy Scouts of America.
Wow. Yeah, Weeblos.
What?
God, everybody was so tall. Weeblos.
Weebelows.
Yeah, Weeblos, which is as you become farther up in the ranks, you drop a vowel or a syllable there in the middle. And nobody wants to deal with them little savages. But yeah, it's what, Cub Scouts, Weebelos, and then Boy Scouts?
I don't remember.
I don't know.
Never went to Cub Scouts, and barely touched into Boy Scouts, and then left.
Yeah. I'm an Eagle Scout by the grace of God and a stack of paperwork, but I made Eagle. That was skin of my teeth and had a lot of help.
I wish I would have stayed with it. I wish I would have started somewhere other than a Mormon church.
Yeah, that's a weird place to put down the first foot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was very awkward. And Mormons are wonderful people.
Yeah, that's how they get you
They're
in.
awesome people. They're nice people.
Yeah.
I love them to death, but they're freaking weird.
Yeah.
They have some really crazy out there ideas.
Mm. Yeah.
But, as I said, they're nice people.
Mm-hmm.
Like the nicest people you'll probably ever meet.
Mm-hmm. On purpose and very good at food preservation. Very good at food storage. Yeah, that's a rabbit hole if you get on the internet and want to look up LDS food preservations. Yeah. But.
And it's weird because, like you said, they're nice on purpose, but it's actually their personality. They do it for so long that becomes their personality.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's genuine niceness, which you don't get in this world very often anymore.
Not anymore.
Which is one of the reasons that I don't hate Mormons. So I'm not going to come to my door, but when
I don't want your book, but I will buy popcorn.
When I was 18 years old, working at Timberline. No, 19. Sorry, 19 years old working at Timberline. Me and a couple of guys went to Taco John's for Taco Tuesday.
Mm-hmm. Which I've never understood why they didn't call it Taco Juan.
Okay. But we were there eating some tacos, and a couple of Mormons came by.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
They just wander in. They were like,
"Yeah,
hey, do you
pretty
have
much."
our
We were on the
bicycles?"
outside seating area.
Really?
Yeah.
No, there's nothing funnier than a Mormon with a squeaky bike chain.
But hold on.
Sorry.
I gotta get to where this was going.
My bad.
There was a 19-year-old me, a 20-year-old, and another 22 or another 20-year-old. So we're all young guys.
Mm-hmm.
They came by and asked if we needed them to mow our lawns. Who asks young guys that?
You sure they were Mormon? They weren't
Yes.
Pit Mafia?
They were Mormon.
Did they have a Bic razor or a lawnmower with them?
No.
Neither?
No.
Well, that's no help.
It was the funniest interaction I can ever recall having.
Buddy, I'll buy you lunch, but I'm not going to give you money.
No, they didn't want lunch.
The point of...
They
they
wanted to talk to us, and we humored them.
Oh.
And then Patrick said something, which was one of the guys that was with me.
Mm-hmm.
And that somehow got them to offer to mow our lawn.
Oh, I thought they let off with that. Like,
No.
Hey guys, how's your Diet Mountain Dew today? Do you want your lawn mowed? That would be...
No. There was
I don't
more.
go
There
to
was more
those
to it.
bars.
Sorry, I probably should have said that better. But it's still the point. 3 young guys sitting there eating tacos. Why do you offer to mow the lawn? Why? Why would that be? Why would that be? What would pull them to God?
I don't know. And the tacos is just a cherry on the sundae, man. Like, Wow.
So we spent our hour lunch messing with these Mormon guys, and I felt horrible. But I can't believe they offered to mow our lawn. That was just...
You know, if at my age, if someone offered to mow my lawn, I'd feel a little offended. I'd be like, I mean, do I look that old? I mean,
Do I look busy? I'm talking to you.
like, I just got to my prime, you know, just...
Right. Am I that doughy? Are we really here?
It would honestly be like me coming to you and asking you if you wanted me to mow your lawn.
It sounds like begging to me. Like, buy an apple for $4? Keep your dignity, you know.
It was crazy. It was one of the craziest interactions I've ever had in my life.
Wow.
The only Mormons I've actually ever seen were the ones that, like, you catch riding around here. Like,
Yeah.
there's lately I've seen, like, two, like, young kids, probably younger than I am, just riding bikes,
It's
riding
cyclical.
around.
Yeah, and they're usually 18 to 20, 22 sometimes.
Yep. The black slacks, white button up, and a backpack.
Nice.
On a decent mountain bike, usually.
Usually.
That's what you've seen.
Yeah, we've never had any Mormons or Jehovah's Witnesses come knock on our doors.
You're on a JW's list. You are on a Jehovah's Witness list. If you have an address that's in the 911 system, you're on a Jehovah's Witnesses list. They code it. When they come up to the door and knock on the door, they record if you were home and not answering, if you were not home, if you're answer the door not interested, and they schedule when to come back.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's very systematic.
And that's why I always answer my door with a gun.
I like having spirited discussions with those folks. All of them, Mormons and Jehovah's Witnesses.
The Mormons don't bother me, probably because I spent some time in one of their churches.
Yeah.
Jehovah's Witnesses, no thanks.
just no thanks to the whole thing. Just
I answer the door with a gun, and that ends that conversation.
Yeah, I'm not hostile towards anybody, but
It's not like I point the gun at them.
they make...
I just have it in my hand.
Right.
It's usually enough to get anybody to walk away. Except for the police.
Yeah, they come at you. If you... Yeah. Camping stories. Man, oh God.
Oh yeah, I was supposed to be doing a camping story.
We were.
And we got... we were talking about...
Yeah,
Boy Scouts
my
and
first
the-
Scoutmaster, and then the second Scoutmaster, because that troop, surprise, closed down for lack of attendance. Who saw that coming? So I went like a block east to another church with another Boy Scout troop in it on like a day sooner. I think we usually met on Wednesdays, and then I moved to Troop 16, and that was Tuesday night. And the guy that was in charge of that troop was in HR at the VA. And with that much alphabet soup in your job description, he knew how to do paperwork. He wanted to have a car on campsite in case anything happened. Well, the only way with the Boy Scouts at that time you could have a car handy was if you were a behavior disordered troop for medical emergencies or behavior problem emergencies. You could take the kid home or to a hospital. So he filled out the paperwork so that Troop 16 would have behavior disordered troop status. And then what happened was all of these behavior disordered kids started showing up for Boy Scouts. Oh my God. Yeah, that was... We had one kid, Timmy Too Little.
What?
Yeah, that was his nickname, Timmy Too Little.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was actually his last name. I was like, wow.
No.
It's a crappy
Wow.
last name.
Yeah. No, his name was something other than that, but that's what we called him. He only said two things most of the time. 95% of his answers were one of two words. Yeah and stuff. And for the longest time, we thought he was slow. We thought he had learning issues, not just... About a year in, I realized that little bastard was brilliant because it was never the right thing. Hey, Timmy, what are you doing? What's the answer?
Stuff.
And he would say, yeah.
He would say, yeah. Hey, guys, what are you doing? Yeah. Okay. Timmy's crazy, right? Don't worry about Timmy. Hey, guys, what are you doing? Hey, Timmy, did you see where the guys went? Stuff. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. For him to know that it's not this one shows the social awareness. And then I figured out, since he knows what he's doing, he's covering for us. We could raid other campsites.
Oh, God. Oh, this could not have led to anything good.
It didn't. It really didn't. And we had a behavior disorder troop, right?
Right.
We're not dumb. We just don't like authority.
Yeah, that's what... Yep.
And then we got Timmy running point for any interactions with authority. And he was always smiling. Always. Same smile. The one thing he couldn't do, hand to God here, gentlemen, was button his shirt. He had some kind of left brain, right brain thing going on, and he was always one button high or one button low. He always had an extra button or an extra hole right up next to his chin, and he'd get about halfway down and quit. So it never became obvious to him at the end of the process, hey, maybe I need to start over. Okay, fine. So that kid, smiling, walks into your campsite and says, what are you doing? Yeah. There's not a threat there. And then he would come back to our campsite and tell us where everybody was camped out. I mean, he was a forward observer. It was hilarious. Where we would camp was on Kentucky Lake. So, most of the time, for summer camp. So, there was, a swimming area, and then we had 3 licensed lifeguards. We were a legit self-contained unit. Because our kids had a hard time interacting with some of the other kids who were, kids can be mean. Well, our kids would be meaner, and they had shorter fuses. So this never ended well, and it always meant more paperwork for Neil, the scoutmaster. So, you know what? We just went to the other side of the peninsula and set up a swimming area. And we did it right. I mean, a quarter of our guys were licensed lifeguards. So we had, the shallow area out to 5 meters and out to 15 and 25 meters, and we had little ropes. Well, we had to walk down a path past a couple other campsites to do that. And one of those guys, one of the scoutmasters, we called him Fat Bastard because he was a bastard, wanted to use our swimming area the same time we were, and he didn't have any lifeguards in his group. Well, we had our hands full, so we're not gonna, there's a reason we're separate. Don't insist on us being your lifeguards, literally, because you can't keep your stuff together or do paperwork. Well, when we said, look, this is us, we're gonna look out for us, and we're not gonna wait for your boys to be done swimming and then bring them back to you. We're waiting on the UPS thing. It was probably the doorbell. So, you take care of yours, we'll take care of ours, and we'll go our separate ways. He turned us into the camp administration every day. And this happened for like 3 years in a row. It got so bad that the campsite administration was like, go away. We just don't want to hear it. We're tired of it. Well, he started a petition with the higher-ups that were over the actual camp to get us thrown out because we were causing a problem. And we weren't. Well, Neil, our scoutmaster, finds out about it right before we leave for camp, and he's like, hey, guys, this year we can't go to the swimming hole. And we, of course, said, yeah, sure, no problem, except for Timmy, who said stuff. And then we piled in the car, and as soon as we had everything set up, we went swimming. Screw that guy. First day. I mean, we hadn't even been to the mess hall yet. First day. Fat bastard waddles up to the administrator. I need to talk to somebody about... Okay, fine. So later that night, we came back through and unhooked the corners. We pulled all of their tent pegs and then unhooked the corners of their tent poles from the corners of their tents and then put them in the holes where the tent spikes had been so that they would stay up there. Now, it's Kentucky, so there's raccoons, right? It's summer, so we're not going to use our cocoa mix. So we have cocoa mix with us because, you know, that's how you do it in the Boy Scouts. So we went through and we powdered everybody's tent with cocoa powder so that the raccoons would come in the middle of the night. And then when they tried to unzip their tent, and we had zip tied both zipper things together, as soon as it would unzip, an inch and a half later it would rezip. Well, the raccoons were coming at them from inside the... Yeah. And then we just sat back and watched, and I think I had some gummy worms, and I threw them out in the middle by the fire so that they would heat up and the raccoons could smell it and they would make their way in. It took about an hour.
Oh, God.
And all hell broke loose. Yeah. It's tough. That's who we had. That's who we had.
That is just... That is adventure right there.
It is. It really is. It's probably horrible. I don't know how many kids got rabies, but they should have had a lifeguard. That's their problem. They didn't train a lifeguard.
Apparently needed security guards, too.
Or just, you know, not piss off the most vindictive and effective group.
Really, the one
tribe.
group. The one group.
Yeah, don't single us out, son. This is not going to end well.
God.
The summer before my sophomore year, we went to camp and we were on a hike, just off our own thing. We had the farthest man rule. I tell you how this gives you a kind of an insight into the dynamic of the group. To keep everybody together, we had farthest man rule, and it was whoever was farthest from the group. When somebody yelled farthest man rule, everybody threw rocks at him. So if there was a cluster, yeah, everybody, you know, hello, Mr. President, you know, get
Yes.
down, Mr. Okay, everybody covers
Mr.
their ear.
President.
Okay, we would pick up rocks, and it was the same as, you know, get down, Mr. President, you touch your ear. Once everybody in the group had a rock in their hand, except for the little kid who was ADDing his way down the trail faster than we could keep up, and he was like more than 2 hills past, somebody would yell, farthest man rule, usually one of the scoutmasters, I came to find out, farthest man rule, and we would just look around, and if you could reach your arm out and touch somebody, you don't throw a rock at them, but, you know, Crazy Steve up the road there, farthest man rule, and he would duck and cover, and we'd, you know, chuck rocks at him, and then the group would, like the span of the group would tighten up, and we would stay together.
That is the most
Wow.
the most boy
Oh, yeah, dude,
genius
totally.
role that I've
It's
ever heard.
Brilliant, yeah, yeah. And I mean, of course, the next thing that happens is he starts running towards the group while we're chucking rocks at him.
That makes it even worse.
Yeah.
Right, with a bunch of little behavior disordered heathens. You know, this is great fun. You know, you just
wait until he's right before arm's length and
yeah, pop. Farthest man roll. And then when we were working on a project, and here's where it got really interesting. Whenever we were working on a project, we were always on our own. We were our own team. Nobody wanted to help us. I mean, they would be nice to us or afraid of us or something, but there was not that blending into the group camaraderie thing. We had our own little bubble. Part of that was necessity, but a lot of it was just everybody knew that we were nuts. Okay. Own it. This is fine. We didn't run underwear up the flagpole. We would run like the smallest child up the flagpole in a Swiss seat that we made out of. Yeah. Wearing his underwear because, let him have his decency. He was just the slowest. And, of course, the kid who got hit by rocks last week feels bad for him.
Yes, of course.
Right. So we would go to these competitions where there'd be, 10 different challenges, and you go around in a circuit and, whichever. Okay. Farthest man rule in that situation was whoever was closest to the next thing that needed to be done, it was his responsibility. And if, let's say, you were really good, Mark, you were really good with lashing timber together. Really fast with it, okay?
I am at it.
Yeah. And you were good at setting up angles on these things, and we needed to lash something together, but I was the closest one to the thing that needed to be tied next. And we were kind of at a standstill. Nobody really knew what to do other than this needed to get tied and it's at my feet. Somebody would yell farthest man rule. Well, that means it's my responsibility. But I look at it and I'm not the person for this job. And maybe you're doing something that I'm good at or could at least do as well, Mark. I would yell aces in their places. And we would switch jobs. Think about how efficient that got.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Aces in their places is used by many businesses, actually.
I think it came from Neil. I really do. I didn't hear it again outside of Boy Scouts until I got back into food service.
That's Papa John's.
At 19, yeah.
Papa John's uses aces in their places.
Mm-hmm. Steak and Shake uses it. I worked there for about 6 minutes. Yeah, but that
was actually a challenging part of being a manager at Papa John's.
Figuring out who was best at what?
No, dealing with people thinking they're better at something than the others when you know that they're not.
You can hold a competition.
Oh, I did.
Good. Yeah. There you go.
But people are, and that was a college town. People making excuses.
Well. Yeah. I saw in that Boy Scout troop, and later in work, I see what you're talking about. I saw in that Boy Scout troop the standard that made what I saw later out in the workforce ridiculous. The standard was everybody was just humble enough because at school everybody got made fun of, everybody got razzed, everybody got ripped on, everybody had a hard day through the week, 3 weeks in a row, and then it was camp out weekend. And you hang out with this group, and yeah, we might mess with each other, but nobody gets to mess with any of us. So we got the opportunity to be humble in front of each other, to each other, with each other. And if I was humble about something and admitted a fault, and somebody from outside our tribe made fun of me, it's on. Yeah, dude. Raccoons on your house. it was, yeah. And then I get out in the workforce and, I start hearing aces in their places or, that's your job. And nobody's humble. It's just killed camaraderie in the group as far as I'm concerned. And it seemed really, really surreal and ridiculous at the same time.
That's what a manager's for. There's a lot of bad managers.
Oh my God, yes.
A lot of them.
I worked for a lot of terrible managers. A lot.
Neither of you ever worked for me.
That's true.
Technically, no.
I
I work under you, but
technically, I'm your guys' direct supervisor now, but that's...
It's good for references. And I listen to what you have to say because, you've earned it and you've been at what you're doing longer.
Too long.
I agree.
But... yeah. For aces in their places to work, you have to have a good manager.
or a team.
A good manager makes a good team.
Yeah, and maintains it. You have to have an esprit de corps that fosters humility.
And you have to have a team who has each other's back.
Absolutely.
Like, I worked at Carbondale Papa John's.
Mm-hmm.
I ran that store. Carbondale Papa John's is like being in a smaller version of the south side of Chicago.
It is.
So, we had a lot of issues to deal
Well,
with.
very diplomatic.
And if I were to walk outside of the store, I wasn't the only one.
Yeah.
If I had to go deal with something, at least 3 of my drivers were there. Usually Eric, Bo, and Jason. Right there.
Big guys except for Bo, right?
Bo's is holds 3 black belts. He's not very big.
Yeah, he's not very big, but he's
Jason's like a slim, tall guy.
Mm-hmm.
But he'll fight anybody, anything. And Eric was short and stocky.
Yeah.
Eric Saletti. He was a good guy.
Nice.
He actually, when I was still working there, he held he got the record for most deliveries in one night.
Nice.
57.
Wow. 8-hour shift?
Yes. Actually, 7.5. But yeah.
That is impressive.
It's pretty good for 7.5 hours.
Yeah.
He's also the one that was with me whenever I got maced for the first time over there.
Oh, yeah. That is a thoroughly unpleasant experience. I highly recommend it. If you can choose, get OC, pepper, not chemical, CN or CS. Yeah, those are not preferable, but yeah.
He got maced with me.
Good man. Good man.
I'll go ahead and tell this story.
Please.
So we were outside. Bars had just let out. There's Don Taco next to us, and that little shopping center.
Mm-hmm.
That always filled up. Hundreds of people. We were outside, me and Eric. I don't remember what I was talking to him about. It was actually something related to work. We were smoking a cigarette talking.
Mm-hmm.
We look over, and there's a group of people, and this girl gets hit and knocked into the wall and falls down.
Okay.
We see that she's not moving.
That's a problem.
We're afraid she's going to get trampled. So Eric and I jump up to the next parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
We go through and push our way through, drag the girl out.
Okay.
Well, right about this time, the police are dealing with basically a riot on the far end.
Yeah, a half a block away.
So they're starting to mace everybody.
Right.
Indiscriminate. You're getting maced if you're in this parking lot. Well,
It's Carbondale.
we get this girl up. She starts coming to.
Mm-hmm.
This guy and a girl walk up behind me, and the guy's like, "What are you doing? I'm the one that hit the bitch."
Right.
That automatically made me angry. So I turned around, backhanded him, and then the girl tried to get past me to go after the other girl.
Mm-hmm.
So I grabbed her, because he was down after getting back. He was a little bitch. But the girl almost got past me. I got in front of her. Eric was pushing the other girl away.
Mm-hmm.
And then we just hear ch-ch-ch-ch.
Oh, God.
Can shaking.
The rattle can.
We both look over. Yep. And I was under the impression that you're not supposed to wash it out.
Oh, no. Vinegar. White vinegar.
Oh no, not this.
This was it CS?
Yeah.
Ooh.
You're supposed to wash it out immediately.
Mm.
Yeah.
I didn't, because I thought that was a bad idea. Eric did. So, end of the night, 4:30 a.m., cops come by. They're like, "Sorry, we maced you."
Hey, I get it.
I was like, "Yeah, I understand. And we were just trying to help you guys."
Right.
And he's like, "Yeah, did you guys wash your face?" I was like, I didn't. He's like, well, when you do, it's going to be like you got maced all over again. Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, it was horrible.
Yeah. Yeah.
Damn.
Oh, one thing I forgot to mention. After we got maced, Eric, he couldn't see for like a minute and a half. But in the first 15 seconds, he falls out of the parking lot. Down to my parking lot. Me, I cleared up and was able to see in about 20 seconds-ish. Okay. And I was surrounded.
Oh, no.
By very angry people.
Yeah. Who a minute ago were rioting and now they've been maced.
And this is not meant to sound racist. I was the only white guy.
Is what it is.
Man. I was the target at that point.
Of course.
Had to fight my way out of the parking lot. Eric would have helped, of course, but he was maced.
He was busy. Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course the cops were fighting their way out too.
Yeah, on the other side.
Yeah. I was working a bagel cart out in front of a nightclub.
Oh, God.
Yeah. A nightclub that stayed open until 5. So people who had cars would leave Carbondale at 2:30. They would show up at this nightclub out in the sticks. And apparently one night we had a major coke deal go down in the... And I didn't go in there except to warm up on cold nights and maybe grab a beer every so often, you know, if it was slow. But I had no idea what was going on in the nightclub at that point. And one night, cops roll into the parking lot about 8 deep and just go different directions and block off all of the exits, even the one into the cornfield at the back. And a guy that I knew from another job that I had, and I'm 21, 22 at this point. I was working midnights at a gas station through the week. The guy that I gave free coffee through the week, because I like having cops in my gas station in the middle of nowhere at midnight, kind of a thing, right? He walked up with this big can of, and it looked like Chuck Norris on the front of it, in a gi kicking. It said karate in a can. And you know the silly string sprayers that you...
Yeah.
Okay, it came with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, karate in a can.
This is what I got maced with.
A 32 ounce. Yeah. This was OC, not CS. But I have an open grill. I'm cooking over charcoal, and this is an alcohol-based propellant.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Problem. So he just shows up out of the crowd. And I'm like, oh, hey, Kiwi, what's going on? His name was Quentin. I said, hey, Kiwi, what's going on? He goes, everyone that's here, stay right here. It's like, okay. You know. They started at one end of the parking lot and just lockstep moved everybody to the back, and if anybody fell out of line, you know, like if they had been a Boy Scout, we would have thrown rocks at them. They just maced them. They started checking IDs, and I'm over here, you know, waiting for my line to clear up, flipping, you know, do you want extra cream cheese on your bag? Oh, that's nice. You know, how about sunflower seed? Oh, look, you're about to get maced. Oh, God. Tips went through the roof, though. Everybody that didn't get maced was like, thank you very much, money in the can. Like, you are very welcome. I will stand here by a fire and be nice to the police.
Have you ever witnessed cops actually having to deal with large groups of people?
No, I haven't actually.
It's fascinating.
It is.
It really is. Oh.
And depending on what the group is doing, whenever the police encounter them.
Mm-hmm. So wait a minute. You grew up 20 minutes from Carbondale and you've never seen a riot?
I mean,
I think we're gonna have one Friday. You want to go?
Yeah, I'd love to go. Actually,
That's a good question. How have you missed a ride?
I don't know. Like the biggest thing I've ever seen was, recently actually like last year or something like that. We went to Styx. A couple buddies
It's a
of
good
mine.
place to see a ride.
Yeah. So like, we have this one friend. He's
The guy that owns Styx was the owner of the nightclub that I worked at.
really
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah. Sorry.
Nice. No, it's okay.
That. Yeah.
Well, like we have this friend. He's a big burly guy. Like when he was younger, of course, he was the fat kid. But like now, he's like muscle kid. But
Yeah,
he's
that's
he's
what we
also
do.
the dumb kid. Like he's
Oh.
he's the muscle. But that's
Oh.
it.
So,
so like
so his mental processes aren't inhibited by the anticipation of pain.
yeah, exactly. That's
Okay.
exactly him. Like his
That's-
like he can talk fine, and he's like into like trends and everything fine. But like
But he has heart strength.
yes, like when you piss
Oh,
him
wow.
off, shut down.
Yeah.
Anger mode, you're fucked. Like
Yeah.
he, like the first time he ever got drunk, he literally knocked out everybody in the room
Oh,
for no
yeah.
reason,
Hang out with
and
that
then
guy.
passed out.
Oh.
So like,
Yeah, don't hang out with that guy.
no. So like, I was hanging out with him, and we did our thing in Styx. I didn't have a good time because I don't like large crowds, and so like we were leaving,
enough.
and I was like, thank God we're leaving, because like they had also like gotten into it with some guy. Like apparently they stepped on like some guy's Gucci flip flops, whatever the hell they were wearing, and like they like made a big deal about it, and like I had to break it up myself. I
And
was like,
you
okay,
never, in that situation, you never say, "Oh, so you're too poor to be wearing that."
yeah, apparently.
Right.
And so, like, I just broke it up myself, and I was like, okay, let's just move on to get out of here. So, like, we were finally leaving. I was like, okay, good, we're leaving. No accidents happen. And so, right behind me, I hear,
Accidents, like they need a diaper.
I just, like, right behind me.
Did you wear your pull-ups, Mongo?
Cody, you didn't forget your spares, did you? Like, God damn, and like, right behind me, I hear, so you just gonna leave us like that? I was like, oh, God, please no.
Right.
And so he's like, what? You got something to say to me? He's like, you just gonna leave us, homie? And I was like, okay, guys, let's just keep it. And the guy slugged Cody, which is the guy I was just talking about. He
Right.
slugged him out of nowhere. He wasn't even talking to Cody. He was talking to
just
some
hit
other
him.
guy. He just turns and slugs Cody, and Cody like takes it and he goes... and he like punches the dude right in the face, and the dude takes it and like falls on his ass, and he goes up, he goes, get him! And like 12, again, not being racist, I am black, but still, like 12 of
Well,
these
half
black
racist.
guys came out and jumped Cody all together.
Oh,
Like I went in,
that is not cool.
I went in and I was trying to like pull him off,
Mhm.
but like I got into it with another guy,
Mhm.
and
That's
so
how
like
that works.
and so like as I was getting into it, he's like taking all this, and he had just gotten kidney surgery, so he's like protecting his abdomen, so he's taking like hits to his face, and it was like when you're playing a video game and you take enough hits, you like raise your power bar.
Mm-hmm.
His power bar was full, and he starts decking him left and right. Just like one punch out,
Yeah.
one punch out. He's just decking him, and he took on 10 dudes all by himself, and knocked them all out. And had even a girl come up behind him and kick him in the balls right behind him. He went down, and he got up slowly, and the girl was like trying to like wail on him, and he was slow motion, boom, just out of nowhere, rocked her. And she went out. And so finally the cops showed up. He's bleeding, got his like purple eye and everything, and they're questioning him, and finally they took him to the hospital. And like they cleaned him up and everything. They're like, you're fine, you can go, we just need you to sign this clipboard. And this is my favorite part of the story. He takes the clipboard, because keep in mind we were just at a club. He was drinking, so he was drunk this entire time.
Mm-hmm.
He takes the clipboard and he goes, Cody McCune, and sets it back down and walks out. He didn't even sign it. He just took it. Cody McCune. Put it back and left. That was the closest thing I saw to a riot.
That's how they
And
start.
It was awesome.
That's a bar fight, though. Yeah.
It was outside the bar, but it was still pretty fun.
I think it's very interesting that generally some people don't fight one-on-one.
Well,
I can't tell you how many times I fought more than...
one person at a time?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you learn to fight from your culture that you're immersed in as you grow up. During your formative years, when people are fighting, you see how it's done in your area, in your neighborhood, in your space, in your school district, in your whatever, in your Boy Scout troop. And, yeah. The other side of that is what I learned younger, and then when I got to high school, my parents moved, so I changed schools, and I saw the other side of that. What I learned was if two people are fighting, you aggressively make room. Let them deal with it. And nobody gets to jump in, or it becomes its own thing. And then the whole group, everybody in the hallway, or everybody in the campsite, turns on the person that's trying to break it up.
That's Johnson City.
Well, and Heron. Yeah. And then...
I can't tell you how many times I got in a fight with a Heron boy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
City Indians.
It's a pastime.
Tigers. Didn't really get along.
Nope.
Yeah. That might have started with me.
No, it's always been a thing.
Yeah.
Football
Ever
teams
since-
actually fought before.
Ever since we stopped playing Frankfurt.
Yeah.
Frankfurt
Yeah.
used to be our rival, and then we stopped playing Frankfurt and started playing Heron.
Yeah, that was better.
Not really. Not really.
Well, Frankfurt we always won. With Heron,
Yeah.
it wasn't a determined thing. It was more of a trial for both teams.
Yeah. That's why they moved the football stadium for Heron out past the city limits. So that people would not get the same tickets as they did fighting in town. It was county, not city. That's true.
I think that says something about Heron.
It really ought to be, yeah.
I think that says a lot about both towns.
Yeah. When I was in high school, we had, I think it was Elkville, play in Johnston City.
Mm-hmm.
And one of our guys got hurt. It was a really, really hard-hitting game. One of our guys got hurt, and we all took a knee, and their team took a knee. Their coach made an offhand comment about somebody being weak, and their team didn't know what to do because, I mean, that's their coach, you know, and they're kids. They don't know how to think for themselves yet. So they're looking around, and then some mom in the stands on the Elkville side yelled something to start a fight just to get, you know, light the fuse on this powder keg.
Right.
And one of them lunged at our side, and yeah, the stands cleared.
I heard about this before.
Yeah.
That's why I was like, wait,
Yeah.
because I that's a well-known thing, and it's actually happened 3 times in Johnson City.
Yeah, that was the first that it was huge.
Yep.
Yeah.
Where the stands
The
cleared
stands cleared.
and fought each other.
Yeah.
Damn.
Like
3 times in Johnson City.
like Braveheart or the opening sequence of Saving Private Ryan or Gladiator. I mean, just yeah. And we had one guy. I can't remember his name. Brian was his first name. We called him Brian the Barbarian because he took his helmet off and he was holding it by the face mask and swinging it like a battle axe and making his way through the crowd. He's screaming and hitting people. It was bad. And they had one cop. One cop.
No.
Gary.
It's Johnson City.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Johnston City. You know what he did? He went outside and wrote tickets for everybody from the Elkville side.
It's Johnson City.
It's Johnson City.
Yeah.
Let them sort it out. You know, they'll figure it out. Don't get in the way.
That's our fighting technique. If you're not immediately in it, just let it happen and prepare for what happens after.
Let them wear themselves out. That was brilliant.
Alright, let's go ahead and call this episode here.
And that concludes this week's episode of Man School Podcast. Thank you guys for sitting with us, and be sure to give us constructive feedback or a question of your own at manschoolpodcast@gmail.com. That's manschoolpodcast@gmail.com, all lowercase. Thanks again, and always think for yourself.
All right, so what is this, episode 2? No,
3.
pilot, episode 3.
There's
We had the
pilot.
pilot, and then we had episode 2.
So episode
So
3.
this is episode 3. Nice. Back in the man cave. The workspace. I think we ought to call it the workspace.
Workspace.
Workspace is fine for me.
Yeah. Works right, the workspace. I have this vision. Like, I like to name areas and spaces. And I have this vision of my grill being a bricked in, like, one's a pelletized wood, one's charcoal, and one's propane section, you know, and it has kind of a roof over it, but there's a giant stone, like, flying buttress that's just got the huge, like, grilling fields over the top of it. Where are you going? I'm going to the grilling fields. Is anybody going to screw with you when you come over for dinner and you're like, yeah, I'm going to go start out my night in the grilling fields?
This is what we were talking about, this organized thing as well. Did you hear how he said, this grill here, this grill here.
Just everything's pictured right up there.
You got to have a goal, man. You got to be willing